Tonight, President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner is at the center of another high-profile diplomatic mission, meeting with the Iraqi prime minister in Baghdad. Kushner's rapidly expanding role as a senior advisor to the president, raising some questions, though, about who's in charge of carrying out the Trump administration's global policy. Our senior diplomatic correspondent, Michelle Kaczynski, is joining us now live from the State Department. Michelle, the president clearly has put a lot of trust in his son-in-law, but others aren't necessarily as confident.
Well, yeah, would that everyone could have this kind of relationship with their in-laws. Kushner has gone from son-in-law to close advisor to the president's go-to guy on you name it. This is somebody with no experience who's been tasked with spurring American innovation and orchestrating Mideast peace, among other things. So this is more than raised eyebrows around the world. It's even caused confusion among foreign diplomats here, wondering who they're supposed to be talking to and why.
More than a seat at the table, Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner seems to be at the head of nearly every table at the White House, from streamlining the government to solving peace in the Middle East. President Trump told one newspaper, Jared is such a good kid, and he'll make a deal with Israel that no one else can. Tonight, Kushner is in Iraq, invited by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to see the situation firsthand and get an update on the fight against ISIS, prompting this bewildered tweet from former Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes. Kushner in Iraq before the National Security Advisor or Secretary of State. Totally normal. But it's not just Iraq. Kushner has been designated the president's point person on a list of issues, including trade deals, communicating with China, heading up the new Office of American Innovation, which includes updating the entire government's technology infrastructure and tackling the opioid crisis.
And he's very good at politics.
He's held important meetings with foreign leaders, even when Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was noticeably absent. Today, the White House was asked how exactly he can do all of this.
There's a lot of relationships that Jared's made over time with different leaders, Mexico being one of them you mentioned, that are going to continue to have conversations with him and help facilitate. That doesn't mean by any means that it's being done without coordination with the State Department. Quite in fact, the opposite.
No question, it's taking time for the State Department to get up to speed, still understaffed at the senior level. So is Jared Kushner, who sources say has won the president's confidence by projecting a lot of confidence, even when he doesn't have the experience or knowledge, the de facto Secretary of State? To many, it has appeared that way, and appearances affect influence, to the point that some diplomats, like the Chinese ambassador, have been dealing directly with him. Sources say it's also worked well for Middle Eastern delegations, like the Saudis. For them, government is a family affair. Kushner also was at the center of negotiations to get the president and Mexico to the table in D.C., which then collapsed after Trump's executive order on immigration, as well as some presidential tweets. Some European ambassadors, though, have expressed outrage to CNN that a son-in-law has been given such a big role, one saying this would never fly in Europe.
And the larger question is, up until now, we haven't seen a lot of regular order in this administration when it comes to making foreign policy. It's supposed to be centered around the National Security Council. They debate the policy, they decide the policy, they speak the policy. That doesn't seem to be happening. There's a lot of freelancing going on.
Tonight, as Kushner works in Iraq and prepares for the president's high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi on Thursday, the man with zero diplomatic, government, or foreign policy experience may now be the most high-profile member of the administration doing just that. Why and how are the lingering questions outside the White House and around the world.
So talking to a senior Republican member of Congress who's familiar with this web of influences around the White House, I asked that question. Is Kushner essentially functioning as Secretary of State? And he said no, because Tillerson meets with the president so often. He believes Tillerson has the president's respect, has his ear, he's aligned himself with Secretary of Defense Mattis, and that they are working on plans to deal with things like Russia and ISIS. Still, that is not the same kind of access or relationship that Kushner has. But this member of Congress says because Kushner, out of necessity, has to go out and find information, find advice, and he has to listen, among those who are most influential to him on some of these issues are Tillerson and Mattis. Wolf?
Michelle Kaczynski over at the State Department, thank you. Just ahead,